question, and the question is: a Muslim man must marry a Muslim woman.
A Muslim man must marry a Muslim woman.
That's a good question. Um, when it comes to Sharia law, um, the sort of the classical position is that a Muslim man can marry a non-Muslim woman, can marry a Jew or a Christian, who known as Ahl Kitab. Um, the the reasoning for that is that the children in the old world officially followed the religion of the father. Now, I have to tell you, I have grown increasingly um, uh, um, what shall I say, cautious about marrying outside the faith. So at a minimum, I think for Muslims in the West, for a Muslim man to marry a non-Muslim woman is makruh, it's disfavored, in my opinion, if not haram, if not forbidden. The reason this is my opinion is that I see the children of many men who've married a non-Muslim woman, and the children they grow up with no Islamic identity at all. But when people ask me, I always tell them whether it is allowed or not allowed depends on who you are. If you are a person who wants to build a family, if your Islam is so important to you, and it is so important to you, your wife, your partner, your husband is once you're married, you're no longer an individual. You're going to share everything with your partner. And when you share everything, how important is it to you to share your faith with that partner? I mean, the most important thing a family does, in my opinion, is not eat together and not sleep together, it's pray together. Now, if you cannot pray with your partner, how important is that to you? Some people say, it's not important at all for me to pray together. And then I say, well, that's your answer. I mean, is it God, that God is going to hold you responsible? You have, I don't, that's between you and God. I don't, it's truly between you and God. But if praying together is not so important to you, I think you have to work on your religion before working on your marriage. I mean, it's something else. So I told them, okay, well, that's your answer. If praying with your spouse together, but if you say no, it's really important to you, and then I say that's also your answer, because if you pray separately, that defines a marriage. And in my experience, I've seen so many people. I mean, I would say it's the rare occasion that people start out with a different religion and it's a rare occasion that they reach 30 years later and they're still as close as when they married. In the vast majority of situations that I've experienced, the fact that they pray separately creates two separate individuals that hardly know each other anymore. And I'll tell you, I know so many Muslim men who married women, and then 20 years later, they live separate lives. They're going off, flying off on their own, and their wives are on their own, and the wives usually have the children, or the children and some type of company of the wife. And of course, I mean, marriage is such a personal issue that I have to, as I'm answering this, I have to tell you that I give different answers to different people that come to me depending on who they are. Depending on who they are. Someone that hardly has, some people, I told them having a Christian wife will be good for you because because they're so lost that maybe a Christian wife will actually help stabilize them, because they run around with gangs and drugs and get drunk all the time. So a wife that goes to church and is actually might be healthy for them. But I'm talking about someone who's Islam is already established in their life, and I tell a family the first thing they should work on is praying together. It's if you work on it at the beginning of the marriage, it sprouts in beautiful fruit. If you don't establish it at the beginning of the marriage, it's very hard to work on later, because you're not used to it, and it's the most intimate thing that you do is praying together. I mean, we have a strange notion of intimacy, that we think that sleeping together is really intimate, or eating together is really intimate. No, it's praying together. Praying together is being human in the ultimate way. I know I didn't answer your question in a yes or no, but
no, that's the good answer.
okay.
Ok, brevemente vamos a traducir lo que dijo. Bueno, brevemente, esto fue lo que la pregunta fue. Un hombre musulmán debe casarse con una mujer musulmana. Y en resumen, y como yo lo entendí, el profesor da su opinión personal, ¿sí? Por ejemplo, en una situación de que si él es musulmán y la esposa no es musulmana, ¿cómo crecen los hijos con cuál religión? También, y lo más importante de la opinión del profesor es que en un matrimonio, lo más importante del matrimonio es rezar juntos. Si ella o él no es musulmán, entonces pues él no va a rezar contigo o ella no va a rezar contigo, ¿verdad? Y al rezar separados, pues se crean dos vidas separadas. Y entonces la respuesta no es sí o no, sino la respuesta es ¿qué es lo más importante para ti?
A tu conciencia.
Ajá, para Carla. ¿Qué es lo más importante para ella? ¿Quiere casarse con alguien que es musulmán para rezar juntos? ¿Verdad? Esa es la pregunta más importante, ¿verdad? Y si otra persona viene y le pregunta una situación diferente, el profesor tendrá una diferente respuesta dependiendo de quién le pregunta, quién es la persona que pregunta. Ok. Pasamos a otra pregunta. ¿Cuánto tiempo más tenemos? Okay.
No, sobre eso del matrimonio, cuando la persona se casa con alguien que no es musulmana, viene la conversión, ¿no?
Entonces, tu pregunta es si...
Ajá, si se casa con alguien que no es musulmán, sea hombre o mujer, se convierte al Islam, tiene que convertirse.
No, es lo que dijo él, que no hay una respuesta sí o no. Es depende cuál es lo importante para esa persona. ¿Sí? Si lo importante para ti es que los dos recen juntos,
No, porque yo veo que sí se han casado muchas mujeres latinas con musulmanes de Arabia, de por allá, pero al poco tiempo se divorcian. Entonces, ¿dónde está el crecimiento de...?
okay. Estelita has another question based on this. She said she has observed that many Latinas marry somebody from the Middle East, you know, from Arab or Pakistan, and they are Muslims, right? But the woman becomes a Muslim
Yeah.
just because the husband is a Muslim, but then later on, this
Yeah.
marriage doesn't last. The marriage.
Yeah, I mean that's why I don't. I personally very critical of these formal conversions. I mean, it's you know, you can't cheat God, and this is the thing that bothers me the most. You cannot cheat God, and someone that says, okay, I am going to just change my label to Mary, and you know, again, a lot of Middle Easterners, I mean, particularly from the Arabian Gulf, their interest in marrying a woman has nothing to do with prayer, having a real partner. It is often it's sexual desire mixed with power, because if you can marry someone you control, that gives you a sense of power. And having them formally convert is also a form of exercise of power. And I'm not surprised that it doesn't last. I'm not surprised that it is. I mean, I've seen so many children. They will. I mean, so many Arab men who will marry an Asian, a Latina, Filipino, and they'll have them convert, but 10 years later, 20 years later, they are there's no family. There's no family unit. The children are with the mother somewhere, and the father usually is off on their own. And I think that's a form of playing dumb with God, because God knows. I mean, God knows if you want to build a real family or if you're just using family marriage as an excuse for sex, an excuse for power. Piety is something that feels clean and feels beautiful. You know, some man marrying a woman that he is interested in for 6 months and then just ignores after that. That's not something beautiful. That's not something true. And we know that. And the thing that bothers me the most is when people think they can cheat God. You cannot. God is not, I mean, if you can't play dumb with immigration, can you imagine playing dumb with God? Can you trick God into making God think that you have something that is not? If you want to have a Muslim Islamic marriage, you can do that. If you want to raise your children as Muslims, but it takes an investment. And a lot of marriages that we see all around the world, I mean, I call them money marriages, because they're centered around money. I mean, I look at the man and I immediately know that if this man, if he didn't have money, he would never have this marriage, right? And that bothers me. It bothers me on the part of the man much more than it bothers me on the part of the woman, because God also understands poverty. and understand what poverty does to people. I can't blame a woman that wants to feed her family by marrying someone. I cannot blame her. But I can blame the man who's using marriage to do that, because if he was truly pious, he'd just give her the money, not have sex, not return, not expect sex and control as a price for this money. That's a real Islam. That's a true Islam, and it's something that is like a perfume. Wherever Islam is, there's a beautiful perfume to it. Wherever it's being corrupted, there's something that smells bad, and we know it in our hearts.